about a 2-year period on a presidential campaign. Donald Trump's presidential campaign, according to a New York Times estimate, has received already $1.9 billion in free media in just the last 8 months. No candidate in history has had that kind of free ride. Here is some of that free media.
And we have water, and it's a very successful, it's a private little water company, and I supply the water for all my places, and it's good. And we have Trump steaks. And by the way, if you want to take one, we'll charge you about, $50 a steak. He said, Trump Magazine is out. I said, it is? I thought I read one 2 days ago. This comes out, and it's called The Jewel of Palm Beach. The airline, by the way, I sold the airline. He said Trump Airline. Well, I sold the airline, and I actually made a great deal. But we have a lot of great people who want to get back into Trump University. It's going to do very well. And by the way, the winery, you see the wine, because he mentioned Trump vodka. It's the largest winery on the East Coast. I own it 100%, no mortgage, no debt. You can all check. You have to go check the records, folks. In fact, the press, I'm asking you, please check.
Every single thing he said there was untrue. Every single thing. That's why Bernie Sanders calls him a pathological liar. He rattled off a string of lies, knowing that they were lies, and then challenged reporters to actually check his lies. And I was sitting at our anchor desk that election night, fact-checking that speech as he was saying it. I already knew that the steak business had failed years ago, but I had to look up the rest of the stuff. And then I didn't get a chance to say a thing about it for the next 3 hours of our live coverage as we cut to other people's speeches and other things that we were covering. And so long after our peak audience went to bed, in the wee hours of the early morning of our coverage, I offered a few correctives to what you just heard Donald Trump say. And then the next day, other news organizations debunked all of those Trump claims. But those articles and those TV segments were seen by a much smaller audience than the primetime, election night TV audience that saw that speech filled with lies, carried live on all 3 news networks without any contradiction about what he said in that speech. Donald Trump presents a challenge that the media has never seen before. How do you cover a pathological liar who is the front runner for a major party presidential nomination? No television interviewer of Donald Trump has ever tried to challenge him on every lie he has told in any given television interview. I've never interviewed Donald Trump, and I probably never will get to interview Donald Trump because I've been talking about his lies for many years now. In fact, I am the very first person who Donald Trump ever threatened to sue via Twitter 5 years ago. I'm not sure that I could do much better than most of the other television interviewers in trying to effectively interview Donald Trump, but we now have a new model for how it should be done, how it can be done. The new rules of interviewing Donald Trump. We got the lesson yesterday, not from a television interviewer, but from a conservative radio talk show host in Milwaukee, Charlie Sykes. Let's call the new rules the Sykes rules. There are 3. The first rule is you must interrupt Donald Trump when he is trying to run out the clock with a very long, wordy statement that is not responsive to your question. Rule number 2, you must interrupt Donald Trump when he says something that is not true.
He totally knew about it. It was done by people that he knows very well.
Well, it was not Ted Cruz or his campaign. So your standard is that if it...
No, I'm just telling you, he knew.
To several interviewers prior to the Charlie Sykes, Donald Trump got away with saying repeatedly that Ted Cruz was responsible for running the super PAC ad that included a picture of Donald Trump's wife. That is the kind of thing he gets away with all the time in TV interviews. And rule number 3, the Sykes rule, is always point out at the end of a long-winded Trump response when he has not answered your question.
And frankly, I built a great company, and it's an international company. I deal all over the world. And when you do that...
You're not answering my question.
Donald Trump has been good for TV news ratings. If you can get an interview with Donald Trump on Face the Nation or a cable news show, the ratings for that show will go up when Donald Trump is on your show. Only one television executive has publicly acknowledged what everyone in the television business knows about the Trump campaign for president. Les Moonves, the head of CBS, said, "It may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS." I'll ask the former anchor of the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather, what television news is doing right and what it's doing wrong in covering this presidential campaign. Next.